Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today, we're going deep into the case of Gary Michael Hilton.
The National Forest serial killer.
Yeah, that's the one we're going to be using excerpts from his Wikipedia page today, and we're going to go chronologically
Okay.
through his crimes and look for patterns in his crimes and look into the investigative work that brought him to justice.
Yeah, I think this one's really interesting. He kind of popped up on the radar later in life,
Yeah.
which is not typical of most serial killers.
No, it's not. And, we only have information from Wikipedia that he was born in Atlanta, Georgia in 1946, and then after that, there's nothing until 2007.
Yeah, what was he doing all that time?
Right.
I mean, you have to think that most serial killers work up to that.
Yeah.
There are crimes before that
Right.
that lead up to that. Or maybe he was just, dormant during that time.
Yeah, so the first confirmed murders were in 2007 with the disappearance of John and Irene Bryant,
Right.
an elderly couple in their 80s who loved to hike, and they disappeared in Pisgah National Forest in North Carolina.
Yeah, and that's a scary thought
Yeah.
because, they left their car at the trailhead.
Right.
And then John actually made a partial 911 call
Oh.
before the line went dead. So it sounds like there was some kind of struggle.
Yeah.
And then they had that huge search, and they had volunteers and dogs and everything.
They were looking for them.
Yeah, and they didn't find anything for weeks.
All right.
And then they found Irene's body, and she had been brutally beaten.
Yeah, the FBI was really taking this case seriously, too.
Yeah?
They offered a $10,000 reward.
And there was also that clue with their bank card
Oh, right.
being used in Ducktown, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah.
And they had that security footage of an older Caucasian man with a yellow rain jacket, but his face was obscured.
Right.
So they really didn't know who it was.
It was just a clue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then months later, a hunter found John Bryant's skull
Oh, God.
in the Tahala National Forest.
Another national forest.
Another national forest. Yeah. And his body had been dismembered.
I mean, it's one thing to kill somebody, but why dismember them? I mean, that just seems so
Personal.
personal. Yeah, it's almost like they're trying to get rid of the evidence of the person,
Yeah.
not just the crime, but the person.
Right. And then a month after the Bryants disappeared, another case popped up.
Right.
Cheryl Dunlap,
Yeah.
a 46-year-old Sunday school teacher, vanished in Tallahassee, Florida.
Right. Her car was found abandoned.
Right. And again, they had a massive search and they didn't find anything.
It's like he knew how to cover his tracks
Yeah.
just enough.
Yeah.
And then, what a horrible discovery when they found her.
Yeah, a hunter found Cheryl Dunlap's body
Right.
in Apalachicola National Forest.
Another national forest.
Another national forest, yeah.
Yeah.
And this time she had been decapitated.
It's like his calling card almost.
Yeah, like a signature.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was also the financial motive
Oh, yeah. They were talking about a green truck.
seen in the area. And then her ATM card was being used.
Right.
So, at this point, investigators are just like trying to put the pieces together.
Just like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we have two murders, both connected to national forests,
Right.
and authorities are, struggling to find a lead.
Yeah, they had no idea what was coming next.
Right. And little did they know that the big break was just around the corner, and that would come down to a young woman named Meredith Emerson. But we'll get to that after a quick word from our sponsors.
So Meredith Emerson, she really changed the whole investigation.
Yeah.
It was New Year's Day, 2008, and she decided to go for a hike with her black Labrador Ella on Blood Mountain in Georgia.
Right.
And that's when she crossed paths with Gary Hilton.
Yeah. Witnesses actually reported seeing an older man with a dog following her on the trail.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's like you can almost see it coming.
I know, it's creepy.
Yeah. And then a few days later, they found her Chevrolet Cavalier abandoned with some personal items scattered around. Right. But this time, investigators caught a break.
Oh, yeah.
They were able to use those witness descriptions and identify that older man
Okay.
as 61-year-old Gary Hilton,
Wow.
a drifter who frequented the area.
And wasn't there something about a green truck
Yes.
in one of the previous cases?
You remember those reports
Yeah.
near Cheryl Dunlap's crime scene?
Yeah.
It turned out
But it was his.
that Hilton drove a green Chevrolet Astro van.
Wow, so they're starting to put the pieces together.
Right. They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
This all kind of makes sense now.
Yeah, and thankfully they did find Meredith's dog Ella safe and sound.
Oh, good.
Yeah, but just a couple days later, her bloody belongings turned up in a dumpster
Oh, no.
near a Quick Trip.
Oh.
Yeah, and then within hours of that discovery, 2 anonymous tips led to Hilton's arrest while he was cleaning out his van.
Wow, talk about a lucky break for
All
investigators.
right.
But it gets even better.
Really?
So they found a missing rear seatbelt in his van,
Okay.
and you're not going to believe this. It matched the one found with Meredith's belongings.
Oh my gosh, what are the odds?
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But see, in forensic science, those tiny details, they can be huge.
Yeah.
They can break a case wide open.
It's like finding that one puzzle piece that
Exactly.
makes everything make sense.
Yeah, so at this point,
Yeah.
Hilton's like, okay, I'm caught.
Yeah.
So he strikes a deal.
Oh, really?
He says he'll lead police to Meredith's body if they spare his dog and take the death penalty off the table.
Wow. So they found her in Dawson Forest and like Cheryl Dunlap.
Yeah.
She had been decapitated.
And he just couldn't help himself.
I know, it's horrible.
But that confession
Yeah.
really opened up a can of worms.
Right, because he didn't just admit to kidnapping Meredith for her bank information
Right.
and beating her to death with a tire iron.
He also confessed to killing Cheryl Dunlap.
Oh, wow. So now Florida prosecutors had what they needed.
Right. They were already building a case against him, but this was the final nail in the coffin.
Yeah, and the forensic evidence sealed his fate.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
They found evidence that Cheryl's head and hands had been incinerated.
Probably to make it harder to identify her.
Right.
That
yeah.
level of planning it's just chilling.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
And so the jury found Hilton guilty
Of course.
and sentenced him to death for Cheryl Dunlap's murder.
Wow.
But the story doesn't end there.
Oh, no.
In 2012, he pleaded guilty to the murders of John and Irene Bryant
Really?
and received another life sentence.
He just kept digging himself deeper and deeper.
Yeah, and his confession in the Bryant case was just cold-blooded.
Oh, yeah. What did he say?
He said that he killed Irene almost immediately, and then he kidnapped John for his bank details, and then shot him in the head and dumped his body.
It's just heartless.
Yeah. So we've got this guy convicted of 4 murders, but experts believe there are probably more victims out there.
Really?
Yeah, because his age and the types of crimes he was committing,
Right.
it suggests that he may have started long before 2007.
And think about all the people who go missing in national forests and are never found.
Right.
I mean, those areas are so vast. It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack.
Yeah. Yeah, it really makes you think, like, how many other cases are out there.
Exactly. And for the families of those potential victims,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not knowing
Yeah.
must be just awful.
It's got to be so hard.
You know, you want closure, but you might never get it.
Yeah. And this case really makes you think about safety, especially in those big national forests.
I know it's scary because you go there to relax,
Right, to escape.
to be in nature,
Right.
but then you realize that there are dangers out there.
It's like there are shadows everywhere you go.
You really have to be careful.
Do that. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of Gary Michael Hilton,
Yeah.
what are some of the big takeaways?
Well, I think the first one is that looks can be deceiving.
Yeah,
I mean, the guy seemed like a normal drifter,
right.
but he was capable of these horrific acts.
You just never know.
You really don't.
And also the power of forensic science.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, who would have thought that a missing seatbelt
Right.
or incinerated remains would be so important?
It's those little
Those
things,
tiny details.
those tiny details that can make or break a case.
It's like putting together a puzzle,
Exactly.
and each little piece brings you closer to the truth.
And I think the final takeaway is that we still have so much to learn
About the human mind.
about the human mind, about what makes someone do these kinds of things.
Right.
It's a mystery.
Yeah, we may never fully understand the darkness in people like Gary Hilton.
Yeah. But we can learn from these cases
Yeah,
and study them and try to prevent them from happening again.
absolutely. So for our listeners out there, if you want to learn more,
Yeah.
read about serial killer profiling, look into the psychology of these crimes.
There's so many resources available.
Yeah, and keep researching and stay safe out there.
It's a crazy world out there.
It is. Well, that wraps up our deep dive into the world of the National Forest serial killer.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
It's been a fascinating and disturbing journey.
It really has.
And as always, stay curious, keep exploring, and until next time.
Stay safe, everyone.